Guys, today we're taking a look at 20 more cards from the Legacy of the Valiant pack that's getting released very soon. So in this part we're going to take a look at most of the magic and trap cards that are coming out. Probably won't take as long as the other parts because there won't be as much to discuss. Pretty simple stuff here, but very interesting spell and traps coming in this pack. So first off, rank down numeral fall. So this one is used to downrank your utopias. Going to be very useful, especially with that new utopia that's coming out in this pack. So definitely want to use that if you're using a lot of different utopias. Then Luminous Dragon Ritual. So I talked about this a little bit. This is going to let you summon the Photon Dragon monster that can summon Photon Dragon. So very, very useful. The big thing about this card is that you can do the same thing when it's in the graveyard. You could banish it and then use the cards in your graveyard to summon the ritual monster. So you could basically do ritual summoning twice, or you can just get this card to the graveyard and allow yourself to ritual summon. It's very, very interesting how it's going to let you pretty much use that twice, giving Photons another easy way to bring out their dragon. So the field card for the Sylvans, pretty straightforward, just allowing you to kind of dump cards and then putting a Sylvan card on top of your deck. Obviously, with how Sylvans work, this is going to be very powerful. Setting up whatever effect you need from the graveyard. Also, the other thing is that during your opponent's end phase, you can excavate. So you're going to have more excavating on top of setting your deck up for your next turn. So very, very nice stuff that you'll be able to do. And your opponent won't be able to do much about it because it'll be during their end phase. And now the new Ghostrick field card, Ghostrick Museum. They already have a field card, but I think Ghostricks are probably going to prefer this one. I'm not completely sure because I haven't messed with Ghostricks yet. But really, it's just nice because it allows monsters to go back into face-down defense after they do battle damage, so that could be useful. The other Ghostrick card cuts the battle damage in half if you're not using Ghostricks. I think this might be more useful to reuse the Ghostrick effects. And then Bujin Erection. So this one's kind of a last-ditch effort for the Bujins. This one pretty much just allows them to kind of get rid of all the cards in their hand, then shuffle into their deck, and also add 3 Bujin cards. So setting up their hand for what they want to do, costly card, and obviously you can have no field presence when you use it. So situational, but definitely an interesting last ditch for Bujins. And now Hidden Temples of the Necrovalley. So this card's really crazy. When this card's up, nobody can special summon. And once Gravekeepers kind of have what they need set up and are able to use this card, it's going to start locking down your opponent like crazy. You know, they'll have Necrovalley to deal with. They might have that new Shaman card to deal with, on top of not being able to special summoning. A lot of decks are going to be in big trouble if Gravekeepers are able to get this setup going. Onomatopair. So this is just the search card that the Gagagas and Zubabas and all that stuff are getting. The real big issue with this card is that you need to kind of use 2 different archetypes in order to make it work. So you need to combine some of these cards, but if you're using that type of deck, this will be really good for searching whatever you want from the deck. So another field card that's being added is XYZ Override. Basically, this lets each player kind of use XYZ materials from their hand. It's really interesting. For some decks, this is going to be very strong, depending on if your deck needs to rely on XYZ materials. There's also just a lot of cards that can easily benefit from this. You can reuse so many different effects with this card. Obviously, the problem is it goes both ways, and you're going to start banishing all the cards in your hand, so it's difficult to say. I think for some decks, they might really like this. One deck I can pretty much think of easily is Hazy Flame, just because they don't want to get rid of their XYZ materials, so that can be useful for that. And then we have Standoff. So Standoff's a really weird card. This one basically picks 2 face-up attack position effect monsters. They can't attack, they get their effects negated, they can't be affected by other cards, and they have to basically sit there. It locks down both of those cards. So in a stall deck, this could be really interesting. You can use a high attack monster to kind of stall out your opponent while you're doing stuff. So very interesting. I can think of some uses for this, but it's going to be a really annoying card to deal with, I can tell you that. And now Shared Ride. So this one's a draw power card, kind of like Max C. Whenever your opponent adds cards from their deck or graveyard to their hand, you can draw cards. So this is going to be a really, really strong deck against certain deck types. So like against Madolches or Prophecy or decks like that get a lot from their graveyard or their deck. They're going to be able to really counter those decks by using this card. It's going to be a great siding card. So the traps, release reverse burst, more support for the Utopias. Basically, you can get rid of a Utopia and destroy your opponent's back row. So very good when you run out of material monsters. Purge Ray, another interesting one. This is for numbers, so basically this will allow you to downrank numbers. Very good with like C numbers and stuff like that, giving you access to those cards. Between the other spell cards you're getting, you'll be able to rank up and rank down these guys like crazy. And Sylvan Blessing, just a really good trap card for Sylvans, allowing you to special summon a Sylvan from the graveyard or the hand, and setting up your deck, as usual, as all the Sylvans do. You're going to have to place it on the top and bottom of the deck during the end phase, but again, that sets up your deck again, or you can just, XYZ it if you want. And then Ghostrick-Go-Round. So this one's an interesting one. This just helps out Ghostricks, allowing them to kind of switch attack and defense like once per turn. Very powerful to help them kind of reactivate their effects and annoy the opponent. So Bujin Regalia. This one is basically just to help kind of Bujins with XYZ materials, kind of similarly to the other XYZ that we're talking about. So if Bujins really want to rely on being able to use their XYZs, this card will really help them a lot. And then Imperial Tombs of Necrovalley. So this is just a really good counter card that Gravekeepers are going to have access to. Again, in addition to everything they're getting, I really think they're going to have a lot of potential. With this, they're going to be able to negate so many things, They're going to be able to negate spells, traps, and monster effects. So on top of the other card, on top of keeping out Necrovalley and Gravekeepers, your opponent is not going to have a lot of choices for what to do. And then the Monarchs Awaken. So this is a really interesting card. So if you have no cards in your extra deck, you could basically protect a tribute summon monster you control. Having no cards in your extra deck is a big risk though. I know even Monarchs, they don't focus on that, but still it's nice to have access to them in case. Not sure if this will be run, but it'll be a nice way to protect your Monarchs. So kind of similarly, Skill Prisoner, just allowing you to kind of protect your monster, or any card you want from monster effects. So it can be really interesting if you don't want to deal with like Effect Veiler or something like that. It's also be kind of usable from the graveyard. It can do kind of like Breakthrough Skill. It's kind of similar how it can use itself twice. And then Promise of an Adversary. So this is a really interesting card. Basically, you can control a special summon monster from your opponent that was from the extra deck. So the big thing about this is that you can attack with it, you can tribute it, stuff like that. You just can't special summon any monsters. This card is going to work really well with Monarchs. Really, really well. Just take control of their monster and then tribute it. Very, very good. And finally, Magicalized Duston Roller. This is a really interesting card. So it basically locks down one of your opponent's monsters from being used for like tributes or fusions or any kind of like the extra deck summoning or tribute summoning. Very, very annoying for your opponent to deal with. This might be run in a bunch of different decks if you want to lock down their tuners or special monsters that they might use for certain XYZs and stuff like that. And also just helpful with Dustons. Definitely looking forward to seeing this card. It'll be really annoying for opponents when they get out like their tuners, for example. So that's about it. There's probably going to be one more video getting through the last few cards, just a lot of other random cards that are in there at the end that will fit into certain archetypes and stuff like that. What cards are you excited for? Let me know in the comments. Talk about what cards you're going to use in certain deck types. Probably a bunch of stuff I haven't thought of. But as usual, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.